To master handstands, you'll need to work on the following. 1. Strength endurance, improving your handstand hold using wall exercises. 2. Balance, trying to hold a handstand without any assistance. 3. Kick up to handstand, learning the skill of entering a handstand in an efficient way. For complete beginners wanting to learn a handstand or people wanting to improve their handstand, this video offers the most important tips and tricks. Pike handstand, the perfect beginner exercise if you've never gone upside down in your life. It builds overhead strength endurance. We need to get used to weight bearing with our hands, all of our body weight, and the pike handstand is a low intensity way of doing this without worrying about kicking up into a full handstand. Overcoming fear is the biggest advantage of pike handstands. Being afraid of getting upside down is completely normal as an adult. Recognizing this and building your way up to getting upside down is the best way to see speedy progress. It's safe because you're close to the ground. You can just jump out of this at any time. You don't have to fear about falling onto your face or your hands giving way from you. That's why pike handstands really tick this box of exposure therapy to build confidence in yourself. Technique wise, very simple. From a push-up, I want you to walk your hands until they're close towards your feet, and you should feel resistance in your upper body. The hips should be relatively stacked over your shoulders. From here, with your eyes, you want to look between your hands, keep your elbows locked straight, push tall through your shoulders, just like you would in a normal handstand. If you suffer from tight hamstrings, don't stress, just bend your knees. It doesn't change anything that's happening at the upper body. Remember, we're doing calisthenics. It doesn't have to look pretty and aesthetic just yet like it does in gymnastics. You can always fix that up later. Being able to do 30-second pike holds is recommended as a minimum. Working your way up to doing 60-second pike handstands proves that you're ready for the wall. Next, the 45-degree wall handstand. This exercise highlights the power of progression in calisthenics because we're getting closer towards that inverted handstand. You're just proving to yourself once again that you can handle the handstand. Your shoulders are strong enough. You can hold the handstand long enough. You have that confidence to enter and exit the exercise safely off your own control. And it's just building these small wins and proving to yourself that you can keep taking this further and further towards the real thing. As you can tell, the 45-degree wall handstand has a challenge that lies between that of a pike handstand and a chest to wall handstand. The process to learning a handstand doesn't have to be fast. You can do it at your own pace, and choosing an exercise that suits your confidence and strength level is key, because this way, when the time's right, you'll be ready for harder handstand exercises. The chest to wall handstand improves your handstand hold capacity, how long you can hold a handstand without balance being a limiting factor. Let me explain why this is so important. What's the biggest mistake that beginners make learning a handstand? They try and kick up and balance a handstand over and over again. These people often don't do any wall handstands, and they plateau and progress slowly due to a lack of work capacity. They're not able to do as many attempts of handstands. They get more tired quickly, and they can't practice as often in terms of frequency per week. If you can't do a chest to wall handstand for 30 seconds, how can you expect to balance? This is probably the biggest thing that I want you to understand because it's so simple. It's rushing the process. It's an ego, it's a pride thing of not wanting to use the wall. But I just see it time and time again. Beginners who do chest to wall handstands versus those that don't, it's night and day in terms of their progress. The wall people progress faster, and the kick up and just do the handstand tend to have a harder time. Entry methods for chest to wall handstands include walking up the wall. It's the safest one for beginners, but also the most tiring. You've also got the tuck up to handstand, and the most efficient and recommended way is the cartwheel to handstand. When you finish your chest to wall handstand, you can simply walk out of it, or you can cartwheel out, which is the recommended way to save energy. The wall is your best coach for handstands because it gives you physical feedback. This tactile touch allows you to develop kinesthetic awareness of where your body is in space. Maybe you're starting to arch your back, so you hollow your core as a response. Maybe your shoulders are collapsing, so this is a reminder that you need to push tall and open them. Touching the wall gives you instant feedback so you can make corrections in real time, building good habits so that when you do balance a handstand in the future, you're going to be able to do this automatically. With chest to wall handstands, the distance from the wall determines the difficulty. As a starting point, 20 to 30 centimeters is good for beginners. As you get closer to the wall, this becomes more challenging, but it's ideal because you get that stacked handstand alignment. You're probably wondering, why not back to wall handstands? This instills bad habits for beginners. You'd be holding the handstand with a banana back and closed shoulders. This isn't to say you can't hold a handstand like this. There is no perfect posture, such as there is no perfect way to handstand. It's just that there's a consensus in the handstand community of an aesthetic ideal. Besides, stacking our joints is a more efficient way to hold a handstand. Further to this, when we do back-to-wall handstands, the wall prevents us from overbalancing, so we don't get much chance to expose ourselves to this fear of falling over. Whereas with the chest-to-wall handstand, we're forced to have good alignment as well as face our fear by bailing over the top. This translates to better habits when the time comes to balance a handstand. Pro tip, end every handstand workout with 3 to 5 sets of around 60-second chest-to-wall handstands, and you'll be ready for absolutely anything. Guys, you can read about handstands, you can watch handstands, you can even think about handstands in your sleep. None of this is going to change you by just doing chest-to-wall handstands. It's going to make your body more smart and the learning process automatic. Of course, there's thousands of handstand exercises that you could do, but chest-to-wall handstands are the squat equivalent at the gym. Basic, boring, but beneficial. The wall walk. Here's an old school gymnastics exercise that you're going to love. What makes wall walks different is they're fun. Because you've got this dynamic movement, you have an outcome focus. You're going through a range of motion, you're counting for reps, as opposed to just suffering for time with all the other handstand exercises that we have to do. The wall walk increases your straight arm scapular strength, making your handstand easier to hold. It also improves your core stability, having that awareness of where your spine is in space during a handstand, as well as increasing full body control in the handstand shape. Technique-wise, for the perfect wall walk, I want you to start in a push-up and simultaneously walk your hands and feet up the wall into a chest-to-wall handstand. Compose yourself, tension your body, and then reverse the motion back into a push-up, repeating for reps. Please don't rock and rotate your body too much on the way up and down, because this makes the movement easy, and we don't want easy. The wall walk builds mental discipline. It's a tough exercise because you have to overcome the burn in your shoulders. You have to stay mindful of your technique, and you have to develop this new standard for yourself that you can tolerate an extra rep, that you can hold your handstand amidst fatigue, and it's this important stepping stone on your handstand journey that builds that discipline and that drive that you can handle so much more than you think. Especially as a beginner, don't set your standards low. The wall walk is going to highlight what your body's capable of if you challenge yourself. You can make wall walks harder by taking small steps with the hands and feet, controlling the tempo and slowing it down, doing more reps per set, or doing more total wall walk reps per workout. Just to give you some motivation, it's not unusual to do upwards of 50 wall walks in a workout. There's so much room to progress this exercise. Push yourself, and that hard work will pay off with an effortless handstand. The wall tuck. I'd say that this exercise is the most effective for transforming your handstand in several ways. There's a saying in handstands, tuck so you don't suck. Pushing tall in a handstand means absolutely everything, and the wall tuck addresses this specific limitation, and it makes you so much better at it. One exercise pays massive dividends. By training the tuck, it makes you better at saving your handstand in balance. I'm going to explain more of this later on, so keep watching. The tuck handstand strengthens your upper trap muscles, improving overhead mobility in the shoulders. This way, you can push tall, you can have a nice stacked handstand alignment, so you can hold the handstand for longer, and it's going to feel easier. There's a catch. Tuck handstands are miserable, but this difficulty will transform you when using correct technique. 1. Start with your hands around 30 centimeters from the wall. 2. Lower down into a tuck while staying light with your feet against the wall. 3. Try and get your hips flexed to 90 degrees as a range of motion standard. 4. You should be pushing tall with plenty of effort. Your shoulders should be stacked over your wrists. 5. Embrace the suck and repeat for reps with your wall tuck. Please remember, planching and collapsing the shoulders is something that you want to avoid. If you're struggling with correct technique, put your hands further away from the wall. Even those of you that have poor shoulder mobility and shoulder strength can scale this exercise. A tactical tip for your wall tucks: if your shoulders aren't screaming, you either need to push taller, tuck deeper, or bring your hands closer to the wall. Here's my 2 favorite wall tuck exercises. Slides for reps or holds for time. Slides improve the tuck handstand through the full range of motion and teach coordination. 3 sets of 5 to 10 slow and controlled reps will get the job done. Holds isolate the deep tuck to increase end range strength where it matters most, improving overhead mobility. 3 sets of around 30 seconds is brutal, but it's going to benefit you greatly. Alright, let's move on to everyone's goal, balancing a handstand. You'll notice we're still using a wall. Here's why. Using a wall helps us to isolate handstand balance efficiently. Because you're already upside down in a handstand, you just have to move slightly from the wall to be in the zone of balance. Even if you're balancing a handstand for just a fraction of a second, every bit counts. Quality of practice is superior when using a wall because you're getting more exposure to balance. If we fail the handstand and fall towards our chest, no problem, we just kick up and try again. This highlights why it's so important to have handstand capacity. Being able to do a 60-second chest to wall handstand allows you to keep trying to balance over and over. More practice, better progress for beginners. Fluking handstand balance is rare when doing kick-ups when first starting. The chance of you successfully hitting equilibrium is pretty low percentage. There's just too many variables to manage. You've got the skill of the kick-up and the balance component of the handstand. Save yourself some suffering, stick to the wall for a while as a handstand beginner. Now, here's why doing both heel pulls and toe pulls will improve your handstand balance. Handstand heel pulls improve overbalance control, being able to prevent yourself from falling over the top in a handstand. But beforehand you said never to do back to wall handstands. It builds bad habits. Yes, we're not doing this to increase our handstand hold time or our handstand shape. We're doing handstand heel pulls to increase our finger and grip strength so that our forearms are strong enough to save ourselves in handstand balance. Step 1 is doing heel pull for reps. You're not concerned about holding the balance, just about leaving the wall for a fraction of a second. Flex your fingers and wrist by pushing hard into the floor. This tension is what flows through your body and creates force to leave the wall. Step 2 is heel pull holds. Your goal is to stay in handstand balance with control for time. Understanding finger pressure is key when balancing a handstand. Apply too little force with your fingers and you'll fall over the top to the wall. Apply too much force with the fingers and you'll fall back down to the floor. As expected, practice makes perfect. By just doing heel pulls, you're going to learn how much pressure you should apply with the fingers for a good handstand. Experiment with the distance from the wall to suit your level. Hands closer is easier and further away is harder. Toe pulls help you save your handstand when falling down towards the chest, underbalancing. For beginners who struggle staying upright in their handstand, toe pulls are a game changer. I want you practicing around 20 centimeters from the wall. This allows you to effectively work in that zone of balance. Once you've got full body handstand tension, float the feet from the wall. This transition should feel light and effortless. There's no need to kick from the wall. The feet should just float off when the time's right. For complete beginners, do reps. Try and get yourself into handstand balance for a fraction of a second, 2 seconds. You'll fall back to the wall, get that tension back, get into your handstand, rinse and repeat for reps. As a progression, do toe pulls and balance the handstand for a longer time, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, the maximum that you can before you fail and hit the wall. Dust yourself off, come back and try that again. You're just getting so much good exposure to balancing a handstand when using a wall in this medium. By practicing both heel pulls and toe pulls, you'll be better able to save your handstand when falling over the top, overbalancing, or falling back down towards your chest, underbalancing. The final piece of the handstand puzzle for beginners, the kick up to handstand. This section assumes that you can hold a chest to wall handstand for 60 seconds and you've had some success trying to balance a handstand coming off the wall. Why is the kick up to handstand important? Well, it gets you upside down balancing a handstand in the fastest way and it costs you the least energy to do so. Just some words of encouragement here. Kicking up to handstand is a skill and it's going to take thousands of attempts to master. But just like riding a bike, once you've learned it, it's a skill that's going to be with you for life. I recommend practicing the split leg handstand for beginners. There's less complexity. The weight of one leg is easier to manage than two. Science explains the superiority of split leg handstands. Your center of mass is closer to your base of support, making it easier to balance a handstand. Just don't give up easily. Press hard with those fingers and you'll surprise yourself with how you're able to save your handstand and hold it for time. Alright everyone, you've now got handstand balance covered. Increasing strength is your next step. Watch this video to master handstand push-ups.